All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, entrepreneurs without limits. This is Dana Scranton, your founder and head lifestyle enthusiast. And this is a continuation of our episode on your code of living, your mindset of life. This is episode 8. And what we're doing is right over here. There it is. We're talking about thoughts today. Now, in episode 7, which was feelings and thoughts, what I said was we were going to move on to the final 2 areas of the attitude category, which we're going to stall until the next one. We're going to defer those to the next episode. Those are behaviors and consequences. But I got to thinking, and as I've said in prior episodes, what you're seeing here is not only a training series on mindset and a powerful mindset known as your code of living, but this is also where I'm kind of vetting some of the contents and essentials of a book that I'm writing on this very subject. So consequently, as I'm going through these training videos, I do come up with new ideas and new thoughts and have epiphanies and ideas that say, you really got to change your approach here or change your definition there. So I want to focus on thoughts today. Thoughts are all important. It is what creates our life within many different frameworks of mindset. And you've probably heard the old saying that thoughts are things. And that goes all the way back to the late 1800s, early 1900s. And it's attributed to a lot of different authors and thinkers. Wallace D. Wattles, in his book, The Science of Getting Rich, really spends a lot of time talking about thoughts. Now, he says you must think in a certain way. What he's referring to there is thoughts are things. The way you think, how you think, the frequency and the dedication with which you think, and the very nature and format of how you think produces the things in your life. The same is true if you were to read Think and Grow Rich. This is a book that most people know about, and it's one of the famous books in personal development. And I don't think there's a book that's more well known in the entrepreneurial circles, but it says the same thing. And it's all based on very old wisdom, that which you think about most often becomes manifest in your life. And there's a variation on that. And I'd like to share that with you at the very onset here. And that is those thoughts that contain the greatest emotional significance to you produce the most profound and present results. And what I mean by that is simply this. When you have an emotionally engaging thought, that thought sits foremost in your mind. It comes right to the front. Sometimes it becomes obsessive. And those thoughts can do one of several things. If it's a thought that empowers you, that excites you, that moves you forward, that's the kind of thought that is aligned with your purpose and your vision. It goes all the way back to your dreams and desires. And so that's a powerful thought to have. But if it's a thought that's based on anxiety or fear, it is most certainly going to hold you back. It's going to displace parts of your life that are crying to get out. So when we talk about thoughts, we're at a different level now than we were before. When we were talking about feelings and thoughts and feelings, and one gives rise to the other and the other can give rise to the former, then what we're really talking about there is the way that your feelings and emotions connect thoughts to your conscious mind. You are the recipient of 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day running in your mind, most of those down below in the subconscious level that you're not aware of. But every single time that your conscious thought registers with your subconscious database, there's a spike, there's an identification, there's a correlation. It's like you have 80,000 thoughts running down below, and there's a certain percentage of those thoughts that are related to the thought that's in your mind right now. Let's say that thought is how excited you are to move forward in life, in your business, or in your quest to become a certain thing or do a certain thing. every time that thought is passed through your mind, it registers with multiple thoughts that are way down there in your subconscious mind. And the more of those that it registers with, the more validity your subconscious mind gives to that thought that you're consciously focusing on. That's how it gets manifested into your life. Your subconscious mind begins to free up the resources to focus on that which you think about most. So consequently, if you're thinking about fear, if you're thinking about failure, if you're thinking about the things you don't want, and you're living in a plane of scarcity and lack, your subconscious mind is going to register all of those thoughts running down there in the appropriate folder and category that aligns with what is on your mind most of the time, and what is on your mind that has the most emotional significance. Now, this is very critical and very important to understand when it comes to mindset, because as you create your code of living, your autonomous mastery of life, your thoughts are what create your life, your lifestyle. Your mindset creates your life. It creates your lifestyle. Why? Because something that is a very big part of mindset are your thoughts. Because thoughts are the very output of your subconscious mind. Your values, your beliefs, those things are aligning to produce thoughts. So we have to spend a lot of time thinking about our thoughts. Visualization is a powerful tool to align your thoughts. And, I know from experience, struggle with it every day, that when I sit down to meditate, when I sit down to focus on a given thought, sometimes it's difficult to quiet the mind, to push out all those other thoughts that are flowing through your mind and being triggered by little stimuli. It's kind of funny how when you're trying to think about a certain thing, you're focused on something that you're trying to achieve, and little pictures pop up in your mind and immediately give rise to tangent thoughts, diverse thoughts, unrelated thoughts, and those draw you away from what you're thinking about. So it really comes down to a degree of discipline. And here is how you can create your thoughts such that they have more power over the noise that's running through your mind. Now, meditation is a powerful tool. Meditation is simply quieting the mind, getting rid of distractions, and trying to focus in on silence at first, then focus in on that which you desire to create in your world. That's one path to controlling your thoughts. But a very effective way to do this is to create a multi-sensory thought movie. A multi-sensory thought movie is basically one in which you picture in your mind that which you want, doing that which you want to achieve, being the person that you want to create in your life. And you attach to that picture, that movie in your mind, sounds, sights, sensory perceptions like temperature and air flow over your skin. You want to be able to smell it. You want to be able to touch it, hear it. You want to put all of your senses into play. Now, it's better to do that one at a time. For example, if you picture that which you want in your mind, you simplify it. If your goal is to become an influencer in a certain area of life, let's say that you want to become an influencer in guiding people in a spiritual realm, in spiritual practices, then focus in on just that and focus in on one act of you doing that. Perhaps you're standing on a stage speaking to an audience. You can pick the size of the audience. Now you're standing on the stage. What does the stage surface feel like? Are there sounds as you walk across it? Is there air wafting across the stage? What do the lights look like? Can you feel the heat of the lights? What does your voice sound like as it reverberates through the auditorium? Can you smell the bouquet of flowers that's just off to the right of the stage? Can you see the faces of the people? Is it dark and you can just kind of see the images of the audience? And what are you feeling inside as you speak? Are you feeling exhilaration, excitement? Are you calm? Are you delivering a message of incredible importance in such a calm, deliberate manner so as to lull the audience into a state of trance? Okay, these are just ideas I want to share with you. When you create your visual movies, your focus, this is one way that you can screen out all the noise. You become so occupied in the mental movie of what you're doing, what you're focusing on, that all the noise dissipates away. Now, in the context of your code of living, your mindset, what I've just described is what you should be doing every day, multiple times a day. And I'm not talking about meditation here. I'm talking about keeping the thoughts in your mind whenever you have the opportunity of that which you desire, of that which is your purpose and vision, because in so doing, you begin to overwrite that underlying programming. Now, remember, when we talked about in prior episodes, we talked about the values and the beliefs and how they are programmed and how they tend to look for correlations. And they don't have to be perfect correlations. They just look for data that says, that fits into this category. Oh, that fits over here. And your brain is constantly making decisions about the degree of correlation or how an experience relates to its profoundly large database. And it may not be an exact match, but your brain is going to take that which it experiences and it's going to find a category to put it in. And the more of those kinds of things that fit into that category, the more attention your brain gives to it. And so when you have a new experience, what happens? Well, your tricky little brain goes down and says, aha, that fits over here in this folder. So I'm going to tell you that you need to be afraid of that. You need to run away. But the only reason for that is because it doesn't have any other information to process. It only saw that one thought that went through your mind that sparked an emotion, and the brain went to work trying to figure out which folder to put that in. So that's why thoughts are so very, very important and why you want to keep them to the fore of your mind anytime you get a chance. That's why you want to create that mental movie. It's your go-to movie. Anytime you get a chance, you close your eyes or you just imagine that movie happening, because the more frequently that appears, the better results you're going to get in the ability to control the noise in your mind and to correlate your subconscious mind to doing what you want to do. That's why thoughts are so very important in the scheme of mindset. And in this category that I call attitude, that comprises those 7 variables that we've talked about, thoughts are right in the middle. They are right in the middle of that because they are the things that produce the results in your life. When you think, the thoughts, the things that go with them, the feelings that precede them, the behaviors that follow them, the consequences that are a byproduct of those behaviors, all of that circles around thought. Thought is something you can control. You may not be able to control your beliefs in the moment. You may not be able to control your values in the moment. And the feelings that pop up are being served up by the underlying kernel of your mind. You may not be able to control those necessarily. You can monitor them. You can suppress them. You can hold them back from causing you to prompt into an action. But the reality is that thought, that's the point at which you have the greatest control. Thoughts. Now, in the prior episodes, we talked about your response time. When you have a thought that's fed by a feeling, and there's plenty of data that goes both ways, feelings give rise to thoughts, and a thought can create a tangent feeling. But in that cycle, thought, feeling, feeling, thought, there's a 1/4 second reaction time, sometimes less, where you have the opportunity to intercept a behavior that is derived from that thought. Now, we talked about that in prior episodes. It's real important at this point to use that mental movie as your go-to mechanism for controlling your reaction or response, depending on the nature of the thought or feeling. That movie that you create, it can be a simple one, and you can have a whole catalog of movies. You find a thought that is pleasing, that is aligned with your purpose and your vision. Make it a simple one. It's an environment that you're in that is representative of you having succeeded at achieving your purpose and aligning yourself perfectly and achieving that which you wanted to become, your vision of who you were to become. Make it a simple movie, a simple scene of a movie. That's your go-to thought. When a feeling pops up and you want to react to that thought with something that you really ultimately don't want a behavior to follow, use that movie as a default intercept to give you time to think about what you're going to do. Because one of the biggest problems people have when they're in this thought mode is they are still slave to their feelings. They are still reacting in that quarter-second window and creating a behavior around a feeling and the spontaneous thought that appears from that feeling. And that very behavior gives rise to a consequence. And that consequence, you would hope, is congruent and aligned with your vision, purpose, and where you want to go in life. But all too often it's not. It becomes a mistake. It becomes a regrettable incident. It becomes something that didn't serve you or anyone else. And then unfortunately, the little worker bees down in your subconscious mind file that information to reinforce a certain set of observed behaviors from the past and the results that those achieved. And then little brain says, okay, I'm going to put this in the fear category, or I'm going to put this in the insecurity category, and I'm going to put this over here in the, oh my God, don't do that category. If it's good stuff, if it's positive, empowering, enlightening, then it's going to place it over here in the, yeah, do that. That's going to be fun. Oh man, this is going to really help you move forward in life categories. So you really have to be cognizant of and manage your thoughts. That's critical in mindset. So when people teach mindset, very oftentimes they're missing all the things that we have just talked about leading up to this point. They're pigeonholing it into something like a millionaire mindset or a money mindset or an abundance mindset or a gratitude mindset. None of that is mindset per se. Those are attitudes. It's an attitude towards money, an attitude about being a millionaire. It's an attitude of abundance, a state of mind. Because all these other things that are running around down below that we've talked about leading up to this point, all part of mindset, these are contributors to mindset. They are not mindset in and of themselves. But thought is where it really starts to come together. Because unless you've got your thoughts controlled, unless you've got those focused and disciplined, it's going to be very difficult to move on to the next phase that we're going to be going to once we get through episode 9. Episode 9 being where we're going to talk about behaviors and consequences. Then we're going to move on to really some of the more exciting things about your code of living, your code of life, mindset. But we needed to get these fundamentals taught, understood. The fundamentals that tell us who we are inside. It's kind of a maze to many of us. I know it is for me to be able to sit down and really dig down into those values and beliefs and feelings and emotions and get control of your thoughts and try to monitor them and actually direct them, herd them like herding cats or herding cattle to a certain place where the payoff is. That's tough, but it's fun. It's fun to be able to sit back and say, ah, yes, I won that thought battle today. Oh boy, in the moment I took that thought and we went for a ride. Yeah, you make a game of it. So that's really the essence of today's episode is thought. And having said that, I'd encourage you to go back and review the other episodes. I try to keep them in that 15 to 20 minute realm just to make them a little more easy to digest. And so with that said, we're going to go ahead and close out today's episode. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some value from it. And once again, this is Dana Scranton, and you've been watching Entrepreneurs Without Limits. So go out there and live without limits, make an impact, change the world, and become the very best person you possibly can. Take care, and we will see you in the next episode.